Hello and welcome to Botanical Living with Kim. Today I'm going to talk about survival packs, specifically about survival, what you might need to have with you in a survival situation, and give you some tips as well on survival tactics. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining me at Botanical Living with Kim. Today I want to talk to you about what to take with you in case of a survival emergency. And there's two different types of packs you might want to have. There's a survival pack and then there's a bug out bag. Sometimes people use them interchangeably. I specifically am talking about survival packs because I live in the state of Arizona, and where I live, which is in the city, I know that anywhere I go within the state or in my typical travels, if I were to get myself into a predicament where I needed to survive, it would probably only be for one night, not more than 3 nights. So what I keep with me in my pack, in my truck at all times, would be fine to help me if I needed to survive in the mountains, if I happen to drive up north, and that goes for cool weather or hot weather, or if I happen to go across the state into like California, then I would have a desert type survival situation. So one thing you want to do if you make a survival pack, which I highly encourage you to do, is really tailor your pack to where you live and what your conditions might be. I'm not in Alaska, for example. I'm not going to be dealing with subarctic temperatures, so my pack would be substantially different than someone would have in that location. So you really want to keep it with you in case you had to survive in your situation. So I'm going to go ahead and take apart my pack. When I'm done showing you everything that's in here, I'll talk to you a little bit more about some other survival tips and some extras that I keep with me in my truck at all times. So you won't want to miss it. Make sure you watch the whole video. So here's my pack. This is a backpack, and it actually fits on my back. It's really easy to get on and off, and I like this kind particularly because it comes with a chest strap right here. And what that does is it allows you to distribute weight more evenly when you're hiking. So I take this with me, I throw it in my truck. Actually, it stays in my truck all the time, but I take it with me when we go on a hike or when we hunt. And yes, I do hunt, and I will tailor it a little differently when it's actually hunting season. So I have a hunt coming up in about 3.5 weeks. So my pack will have a little more in it for the hunt specifically. And there's also an addition, this pack can have a bottom section that goes down here. So I usually do put stuff in that for the hunt as well, even if it's things like extra ammo. But for my everyday pack, I don't keep it that heavy. So let's see what's inside of it. So on the top, I'll start with this. I have a flint stick right here, so you can spark this and start a fire. I have a few different methods for fire starting in my pack, and it's really important for fire starters. Okay, so let's open it up. And this is in no particular order. I didn't organize this for the video. This is how my pack looks all the time in my truck. So I always have toilet paper with me. That's very important. You never know, even if you're just stopping at a rest stop and you need to go in, a lot of times they don't have toilet paper. So this is a really valuable commodity to have. And of course, when you're out in nature, helpful to have toilet paper. Let's see. This pack has some essentials in it. I like putting things in Ziplocs because you never know when you might also need a bag. So that's why I have a few different Ziplocs in my pack, because I could dump the things out of these Ziplocs and actually use the Ziplocs if I needed to. So I have a life straw in here. Life straws filter out like 99.9% of debris. So on the off chance I was stranded somewhere and I didn't have water, now I typically carry my 40-ounce flask with me at all times. And that's just something that a lot of us here in Arizona do because we know that water is so essential and it's very easy to get dehydrated here. But if, for say, you're somewhere and you don't have water with you, or if my flask had run out, this will filter out almost everything. So I could technically drink from a puddle in the road if I had to. So a life straw is a pretty good investment for it. I have orange flagging tape. In case you don't know, orange is the national or international color for distress. So if you were stranded, and you were truly stranded for a couple of days, if you had orange flagging tape, you could make 3 big orange X's. Also, number 3 is the international distress signal. So 3 piles of brush burning, 3 whistle blows, 3 horn blasts. All of those things in the number 3 mean distress. So if somebody hears you scream 3 times, hard to hear out in a forest situation, but 3 horn blasts, 3 gunshots, 3 of anything, 3 flares, that means distress. And most people, anybody in search and rescue would know that. So that's something for you to remember. Anyway, flagging tape. Then I've got, this is, it's a PVC little mini saw cable, so it's got a band of metal wire in the middle, and it's got 2 plastic handles. So if you had to create some firewood really quickly, you just open this up, wrap your cable around, and saw it like this. We called it giggly wire when I worked as a veterinary technician, and we used it to remove bone segments. This was 20 years ago, but it is really handy to have in your pack, and they're very inexpensive. What else do I have? Fire starting mechanisms. I do have some matches. And this is just an old pill jar, and it has dryer lint smashed up with some Vaseline, petroleum jelly, really fast igniter. So that's a great thing to have in case you need to start a fire. So now we have a few different fire starting methods. Also in here, I have first aid kit pieces. In this one, I've got lots of different size bandages. I especially like these plastic soap containers because they're really good for keeping dirt out. And again, I hunt with my pack, so I throw it on the ground, it gets really dirty. So all of these different layers help keep your bandages clean. So in here I've got Band-Aids, I've got my very favorite thing, which is butterfly closures. If you don't have suture, butterfly closures will pull most things together as well. They're great in a pinch. As is things like this. We called this vet wrap before. I think it's called Coban or Flex Band, but it comes off and you can use it to put a poultice, like a compress on. You could use it as a tourniquet. Of course, you could use it to attach a bandage to your body. It's very handy to have. Some regular gauze in here. This is kind of messy because I've actually had to use this kit on more than one occasion. I used to teach hunter's education safety for Arizona Game and Fish, and we always had on our field days, we always had a kid that would fall, scrape their knee, or an adult, somebody wasn't feeling well. So this has been well used, this pack. In here, I have things like triple antibiotic ointment, some different ibuprofen, Benadryl. If you're out in nature and somebody's having an allergy attack, at least Benadryl will hopefully keep you okay until you get to the next place. And that's another good thing to know when you are out, whether you're hunting with somebody or just hiking with somebody or taking a day trip with somebody, know what their allergies are. Because if somebody's allergic to bee stings and you aren't aware of this, and then all of a sudden they get stung by a bee and you don't even know they got stung by a bee, it would be so helpful to know that and making sure they have their EpiPen with them. You want to be prepared not only for yourself, but just in case somebody along the way. And I'm a mom and I'm a wife, so I always have had lots of first aid goodies with me just in case somebody needed them. Okay, let's continue on at the back. In here I have more first aid, some gauze and some more vet wrap. I don't even know what that is. Oh, this is a bag with some latex gloves. I have these in here for 2 reasons. If I need to help somebody who I do not know personally, I don't want to be handling their body fluids. So whether it's blood, spit, you name it, I don't want to deal with somebody else's. So I do have latex gloves. I also have them in here because sometimes when you are field dressing an animal, it can be messy. So you could put on gloves if you like to do that. More tape, things like emergency, some feminine hygiene products, because as a female out in the wilderness, that is something you don't want to not have in a pinch. So I always make sure I have a few of those in my pack. And again, my pack will probably differ a little bit from your pack, especially if you're a man. However, there's a lot of fundamental things that are good to have in a pack for a survival situation. Now, I used to get kind of kidded around a bit at Game and Fish because my pack was always so heavy and the men's packs were never this heavy. But I've used a lot of the stuff in this pack, so people are thankful that I have it. So anyway, you kind of got to make it your own. More gloves. I have things like this is a really cool little flashlight. My son got this in Cub Scouts years ago. but it flicks open and you charge it like this, and then you close it down and then the lights turn on. I don't know if you can see it. It hasn't really charged very much, but if you do that for like a minute, you'll have a battery that'll burn for a long time. So it's really cool to have one of these kind of little specialty flashlights, because regular flashlights, if you don't check your batteries all the time, obviously they can go bad. This is actually a rangefinder. That's for hunting. That's the hunting part of the pack. More toilet paper. I always have lots of snacks in my pack. This is a bag of peanuts. I'm not allergic to them. No one in my family is, but some sort of nuts or Cliff Bars or granola bars, things like that. Dried fruit. I have a bag. I've probably had this in here for like 3 years. And I did a video like this for my Facebook a few years ago, and I might have even had the same candy. So even stale candy in a pinch, if somebody's blood sugar drops and you don't have the proper things with you to boost that up, candy will be a quick fix, long enough to get enough energy to get to where you can get some protein in the body. So that's something handy to have. What else is in here? Some edible plant lists. And okay, we're gonna move along to the outside of the pack really quick. And in here I have like notebook or notepad, a trash can. This is a little mini accumulation of things for fishing. It's a little fishing tackle box. There's like a couple of hooks, some line, a bobber, a lure, some beads, just some things in case in a survival situation, if I had to find something I could catch fish, I'd be okay. These are little Gatorade things, a knife. I like knives. My son likes knives. We've got lots of knives stashed everywhere. Down in this bottom, I've got a rain poncho, some duct tape, combs. These are really handy to have, especially if you're in Arizona. And in case you don't know, I'll tell you why. If you happen to be out in a desert area, and even in our high mountains, there are cactus that are sneaky and they hide out there, but especially for cholla. If you happen to brush up against a cactus and let's say it gets on your arm, what you can do is take out a comb and sort of flick it off your body. And that way you don't touch the cactus, the needles don't get in you, because cactus needles transfer really, really fast. So you can just flick this off your arm or your leg or your shoe, out the bottom of your boot, off of somebody else, and then throw the whole thing away. So these little cheap combs that you find at the dollar store are absolutely wonderful to have. I have a few pens in here, some empty Ziplocs, multi-purpose tool, some ammo, things like that. Okay, in the sides of my pack, I tend to put, well, this one has some extra rope, and on the other one, I usually have a spare water bottle with me. I don't often carry my flask out there, but I always have it in my truck with me. And then this is a compass and a whistle and a thermometer together. So I'm not going to put all this stuff back in, but I want to talk to you really quickly about a few other survival items that you want to have with you, or like I keep with me in my truck. And so I have a 4-door truck. So in my back seat, this pack fits in my back seat. If you have a car, you should have a trunk. You should have enough space to put a small pack in there. And again, you'll want to personalize it to you. But these are some basic things that you might want to think about adding in. So here's a few extra things that I like to have with me, always to be prepared. First of all, I have a really big section of paracord. You don't know when you're going to need rope, so it's really good to have. And you want to go with more of the cotton type ropes versus the synthetic, because these are less likely to fray or to splinter off in your hands. More toilet paper, always good to have. This is an extra rope that I just threw in here. We had tied something down with it one day when we didn't have our tie downs with us. And I didn't want to get rid of it because it's a pretty good length of rope. I always carry a spare quart of oil for my truck. These are my shooting sticks. You set these down and you can set your rifle on them. I didn't realize they were still in here. I have a little shovel. You never know if you get stuck in sand and you might need to dig your tires out a little bit. You could use that shovel, or if there's a fire, you might need to throw dirt or something on it with your shovel. If you had to start a little fire, you always want to make sure you extinguish your fires if you leave. Wrapped in this orange towel, and again, why did I choose orange? Because it is the international color of distress. So if I was really stranded, I'd probably put this on my window with a sign saying, "Help me, I'm over here." But inside of it, I have a big saw wrapped up in it. So why is this not opening? I don't know. Well, anyway, I can't open it. Why is it not opening? Oh, because I can't remember how to open it. There we go. Folding saw. I can cut some branches if I need to make a fire. So that would be really handy to have in an emergency situation. I have my little hatchet with me. Again, chopping things down. It also doubles as a hammer on the back. And the emergency road flares, those are handy to have with you. You never know. I have some like heavy duty work gloves because if I have to grab something that's hot or work with my truck, I probably want to put on gloves. But anyway, those are some ideas for you. I encourage you to be prepared. I encourage you to build a safety kit. Make sure you have water with you. We can go 3 weeks, honestly, without food, but we really can't even go. It's hard to go even 48 hours without water. So water is really key. And in a survival situation, you're going to want to make sure you have enough water. You're going to want to make sure you have some way to signal that you're in distress. So whether that's starting a fire or something reflective or something orange, and you want to make sure you can create a little shelter for yourself. So with all of this, you can shelter in your vehicle like one night, unless it's super hot out. But this time of year, you could shelter in your vehicle for one night. Although I do have this giant rain poncho, and it would cover an area if I had to do an emergency shelter. That's why I have rope. So anyway, these are just some ideas. I encourage you, be safe out there, but definitely put yourself together a little bag to have in your vehicle, and you'll be so happy if an emergency arises, even if it's just a first aid situation and you have those things. So anyway, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me down below. If you haven't done already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell so you get alerts anytime I post a new video. Give me a like, thumbs up, and be sure to share with your family and friends. And thank you so much. Come back and watch the next one. I wish you health, happiness, and a beautiful day. Take care. Bye.